Hello, ladies, and thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Women Owned Listed, the podcast. We are going to have a very interesting conversation today that is very crucial for women to have. And I'm so happy to have this conversation today. And we have an expert in who's also a business owner and is going to help us with this. First of all, I'd like to introduce her. Her name is Marika Vels. Hi.
Hello, Gloria, and thanks for having me on here. And it's vessels. I know my Afrikaans is a little bit daunting, but it's Marika vessels. So yeah.
Thank you so much. I am struggling with the name. Thank you so much because we want to get it right. Thank you so much for that. Can you tell us the name of your business?
It is Speak Up Queen Voices of Courage. It's a podcast that I've created 6 weeks ago. Is that all that you want to know? Or can I give more details?
Oh, yes, please go for it.
Well, I've created this Speak Up Queen Voices of Courage podcast 6 weeks ago, and I'm on a mission to publish 100 episodes by the 21st of December. So 100 episodes in just 6 weeks, which I'm going to do. So we are going to celebrate that soon on the 21st of December. And that's really something that was close to my heart. I'm going to tell a little bit of backstory about why I started this. I am a life coach, a self-healing coach, but something was, I was at a change maker workshop. And this workshop, we were really into start with your why. Why did you want to do this? And I was always like, I want to help women heal, grow, and thrive. And that was my why. But we had to go 5 levels deep on why did you actually start it. And 2 months ago, when I was at that workshop, I realized that when I was 17, I shared I went to the social worker and said that I wanted to share my story. I asked my mom, is she tired of this abuse after the school? I walked to her and I said, Mom, aren't you tired of the abuse? Aren't you tired of living in fear with me and my sisters? Aren't you tired? And she said she doesn't know how to get out of this abusive relationship. And I said, okay, I was 17 years old, so I walked to the social worker and I said, okay, can we get the police in? I want to share my story. And that day the detective said, Marika, you've just broke the cycle of abuse and I'm proud of you. And I was like, oh, I'm 17 years old. Someone is proud of me for speaking up. And I felt really proud of myself. Right. And then I had to retell my story to another detective. And unfortunately, he said that I've asked for it. No one will believe me. And it was all my fault.
Oh, my God.
For being sexually abused. And I was like, okay. And I was silent. I was silent until I was 30 years old. On my 30th birthday, we moved to Australia. I like doing big things on my birthday, so we moved to Australia. That day at the airport in South Africa, I decided to go on this journey about who am I? Who am I without people pleasing? Who am I with the lack of boundaries? Because I was 30 years old, but I felt like a 16-year-old child. I didn't know how to speak up. I didn't know anything. And so over the last 5 years, I really went on my healing journey, rediscovered who am I authentically. So Speak Up Queen has been created for women to have a safe space, that they will never be silenced again. A safe space for women to share their stories. A safe space where there's no competition, where there's no one that's going to say, it's your fault, you've asked for it, and no one will believe you. So that's me. And that's what Speak Up Queen is all about.
Wow. First, thank you so much for sharing that. And definitely sorry for all of those traumas that you've experienced. Unfortunately, this is something that a lot of women have dealt with. And being silenced and being told it's your fault is just absolutely disgusting. And thank you for creating a space for women to share their stories. So your business is a podcast, and kudos. It sounds like you're gonna to reach your goal, which is really, really good. I'm happy for you. That so have you had other people on the podcast who are also sharing their stories?
Yes, I am on episode 52.
Mm-hmm.
I have lined up the rest of the 48 episodes is all booked in for till Saturday. So it took me I said to my husband, it took me 4 weeks to publish 50 episodes. Now I'm going to publish 50 episodes in 1 week. So I am working from 3:30 in the morning till.
I'm sorry to interrupt here, but we've got something important to say. At womenownedlisted.com, our mission is to empower and uplift women entrepreneurs by providing a dynamic platform to showcase and connect their businesses to a broader audience. We are committed to fostering a community of support. We aim to create a lasting network where women entrepreneurs can succeed and inspire the next generation of business leaders. Are you a woman entrepreneur looking to elevate your business? Join womenownedlisted.com today. List your business and join over 800 female business owners who are strengthening their presence by joining our platform. Share your story and expertise with our audience by being interviewed on our podcast. Let's amplify your voice and inspire others. Hit the like button, subscribe on podcasts, subscribe on YouTube, join our mailing list, and get your business listed now to take the next steps in pushing your business forward.
10:30 at night, just every hour I'm booked in because I really want women to go into 2025 with a lot of value. With that they don't have to say, oh, but I don't know where to find something. I don't know where to find tools or resources. So that was the whole thing about 100 episodes, is for women to go through the festive season, listening to other women's stories, all different backgrounds, all different cultures. And I'm actually getting chicken pox. I don't know what you call it in English, but goosebumps. I actually
Yeah.
get goosebumps because it is just amazing. When I started it, it took me 2 weeks to just publish. I need women for my podcast. I didn't know how to start my podcast. I just started it. I don't have a clue how to do podcasting, but I'm doing it.
That's right.
And suddenly I was just getting booked. And I was like, wow, how many women out there are so ready to tell their stories, but they don't have platforms to do that. And I was like, whew, okay, I am doing this. And I'm actually fully booked till March next year for Women's International Day. So I've got 4 big events for next year. My mission is 1,000 episodes by the end of 2025. So I am ready to do that. And I'm actually showing women, my mission is now to show women how easy it is to start a podcast so that there can be more safe spaces for women, so that we can have a movement and just a ripple effect of creating more safe spaces for women, because really there's women out there who needs to know that they are not alone.
Right.
Each woman that shared their story is a survival guide. I mean, if my 17-year-old inner child had a platform like this, so many things would have been so much better to know that you're not alone. Because that is how women feel when they have been through abuse. They are thinking that they are alone. No one will understand them. Oh, well, that was my experience anyway. And then, yeah, that's it.
Wow, that is, yes. Thank you so much for doing this and going at it so like head on. You are going for it. And I will say, social media overall, it can be quite negative. But one thing I love about podcasts is it is a very different experience. You can really learn a lot from podcasts. It's a great place. It's more positives than negatives in the podcast space. So this is something great. Podcasts like this that are talking about topics that women are struggling with. This is a women's business podcast, but guess what? Many women business owners through their businesses are helping other women with their challenges. And that's certainly what you're doing, by having women who have a story that needs to be told. And the whole point is they help someone, right? When you share your story, you help someone. And I think that's really what it's all about.
And that's the thing about Speak Up Queen. It's not, like I said to each and every speaker, it's not the time to promote yourself. It's not a time to share your business. Because Speak Up Queen is not a place where, here is just another podcast showcasing other businesses. This is about women that is putting their business aside and are in there to inspire and uplift other women. So it's nothing about self-promoting. It's really about your expressing yourself and sharing your story, so that your mission is like, this is more and this is bigger than just myself. This is a place where I can inspire. And yes, there is a directory with all the amazing speakers that I've created separately for them to showcase their businesses when someone wants to work with them. But that is just, I think that sets me apart of anyone else, because I don't want to have a place where women feel like, it's just another coach sharing her business, or this is just another businesswoman sharing her business. Because some of these women is just starting out in their healing journey, or some of them don't even know that they are actually in an abusive relationship, even if it's at the co-workers. They don't, some of them might not even know that they're actually verbally being abused or something like that. And Speak Up Queen is all about sharing stories. So yeah.
Wow, that is incredible. And you can choose to answer this or not. That's what I always tell the guests. But what do you think was the turning point for you because you said, from 17 till 30, you were still kind of in that place mentally. What was the turning point for you where you're like, wow, okay, I have to stop this and I want to change my life direction and help other women?
Well, luckily, I've met my husband when I was 17 years old, and he has been with me through the whole journey. And he went to that specific police officer and he just threw his desk in his face and he said, "How can you tell a 17-year-old girl that it's her fault when she's trying to speak up?" So my husband has been with me through this whole journey, and I think for me, the turning point was on my 30th birthday that I couldn't look myself in the mirror. I avoided mirrors for such a long time because the woman that was looking back at me, I didn't recognize her. I was like, I don't like the person that I'm seeing. And I actually, I don't want to say I was resentful about her, but on that day at the airport, it was just like, we are going to Australia, a different country. No one is going to know my past. No one's going to know my story. I'm going to be in an environment where it's just me, my husband, and my son. And I know that I'm going to be safe, because safety plays a huge role in your healing journey. And on that airport, before we moved into the departing section, I was like, okay, Marie-Louise, that's my second name. It's time for you. I'm going to leave you at the airport, the 16-year-old me. I'm going to leave you here. And I'm going to go to Australia and I'm going to start thinking about, who am I? And I know you can't really leave your 16-year-old inner child there, but it was, for me, it was just like, it was a safe space for her to leave her there. And I was like, okay, now I need to start healing. I need to start figuring out, who am I without the limiting beliefs? Who am I without the lack of boundaries? And that's where Let's Go Core was actually created. That's my core program, where I really share. Every year I did something else. The first year I learned about limiting beliefs. I was identifying my limiting beliefs. And then I really dived deep into what, am I really broken? Am I really lying? Am I all those things that people have bluntly put on me over the years? You are poor, and all these things that was like literally like sticky notes all over my body. And I was like, okay. And I was identifying them and learning a little bit about affirmations. And in the second year, it was all about overcoming the fear of ripping off these limiting beliefs. And I was like, okay, I have to start replacing these limiting beliefs with positive affirmations. And then in the third year, I learned about boundaries. So it wasn't just an overnight, oh, you're healed and now we are, no. So in the third year, I really learned about boundaries and the different boundaries there is actually to saying, and that no is a sentence. You don't need to say, explain yourself. So in the third year, I really learned about boundaries. Last year, I learned more about loving myself and becoming more authentically and how it actually had a ripple effect in my relationship with my husband and my son. And we went back to South Africa last year and I was like, I'm a whole different person.
Wow.
It was really like, I wasn't anxious to go. I was actually excited to go to South Africa because I felt safe in my own body. I've learned how to say no. I learned how to have the resources to calm my own nervous system. And yeah, and now I'm here 5 years later and I'm helping other women. And that's the whole thing is, yeah. I think I've done a whole story and I don't know if I've shared the right one now. Now
Yes.
that I think about it.
Yes, no, that was amazing. That was so wow because other women who they might still be stuck in that place where you were. Sometimes when they can pinpoint, okay, this was a turn. I like how you said, "Oh, it was my 30th birthday and I left that girl at the airport." Sometimes we have to set a hard boundary for ourselves. Like, okay, this is the point. We're not going back to what we did before. We have to force ourselves sometime to do something different, be something different. And you're doing that so well. Wow.
Thank you so much. And the thing is, if you don't have, because some women might be in that relationship and they don't have somewhere or they can't listen to a podcast, perhaps they can listen to this one. But if they can just find some resources, just breath work, and just find, even if it's in the toilet for 5 minutes, being alone in a bathroom, and just calming your own nervous system because you have been traumatized or re-triggered. Just things like simple things like breath work, just the square, breathing in like a square, or even just saying to yourself, I am safe, I've got this, I'm safe. And then when you start doing these things, the small things, I can still remember when I had to look myself in the mirror and I had to tell myself that I am enough. And I was like, I am enough, I am enough. And I was like, my husband was like, what, why are you so, I'm like, I don't believe what I'm saying. And at that stage, it was really hard to say that I am enough. And now I'm like, oh, I am enough. And I know Lisa Nichols said, she always asks herself, Lisa, do you like yourself? And I was like, and she said she loves herself. And now when I look at myself in the mirror, oh my word, there is nothing more beautiful than me. I love every cell of my body. And for someone who couldn't look herself in the mirror, oh, I love being butt naked in front of that mirror, looking at all my things, all my scars, because each one has a story to tell. And just when you realize that you are authentically made, and some people are really out there to just dim your light because they see your true potential. They see that light. But some of them try to numb you and some of them try to put you down. Just remember when you are in this relationship or in this situation, just know that there's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. It's a reflection of them that they are putting on you because they are too scared to heal themselves. Because I feel like we all have some trauma. We all have some healing to do. But yeah, just to be able to look yourself in the mirror and say to yourself, I am enough. That is all that I hope this woman realize, that they are enough. They are uniquely made. And if you are going through something that is not good, and you're not feeling safe, just let just know that you have amazing women out there in the world that is believing in you, that is fighting for you so that you never feel silenced again. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we can be such big champions for change, when we share our stories. Again, it's just so good. This is the type of content women need to be hearing. Get off of the TikTok, what's the newest, shampoo to use, great, but not as important as listening to things like this. I think, especially even with our children, we can encourage them to listen to quality podcasts of people sharing their story. So, wow, thank you so much for creating a safe space for women. Now, it sounds like you've had a lot of successes now that you've been on this new journey. What I would like to ask you is, and I know it might be hard to pinpoint just one, but what has been a major success for you now that you're on this different road?
I think I had one of my best friends on this podcast. And I asked her, oh, I think I've got a few cancellations. And I said to her, I know you've got a story to tell. Will you be able to jump on and support me? She's like, yes, she will support me. And she was really going into her husband cheating and things like this. And she's also South African, and she moved to Australia about 5 or 6 months earlier than us.
Okay.
And I didn't really know her. And on that podcast, she said, here was the silly South African dancing on Facebook. And because that is how I started. I was doing 90 days on Facebook, dancing like a crazy woman on Facebook, losing weight. And I didn't know that she thought that I was silly. And I was like, how do you think? She said, no, here you come into I've been through abuse, you've been through abuse, and you are just showing up. You're like doing crazy things on Facebook, and you're really making something about converting your pain into power. And I was like, and I said to her, you know what? If I didn't do that silly dances and putting myself out there, you wouldn't have seen me, and you wouldn't have looked up to me and felt inspired, because she also opens up that how many times I've saved her life when she wanted to give up. She just went onto Facebook and see, here I'm crazy, doing crazy things, sharing my story. And I think that is one of the things that I didn't know, that I was inspiring my closest friends, and that she actually admitted that she was jealous.
Wow.
Because here I am, like I said, sharing my story boldly, and she was still in a relationship where she didn't have a choice to even say where to go to dinner, where to go to have her own time. And I was like, well, then I'm very glad that I put myself out there. And yes, some people might have think that I was silly. And I was really bullied about me going in there. But luckily, after the years have gone by, I had support. And when someone is trying to bully me on Facebook, when I do a Facebook live, oh my word, I've got like warrior queens ready with their shields. And they're really protecting me, and they're just blocking and reporting, blocking and reporting. And that
Wow.
was like, whoa, okay, I've been through it, but I'm glad that I was the one that needed to be silly on Facebook with a dance to get some attention of women and to help save their lives. Because she said, like, there was really times that I wanted to give up, and then I went onto Facebook and I saw you. And I
Wow.
was like, and now she's out of that abusive relationship and she's very happy. And I was like, whoa. And she actually had me in tears. I was like, I didn't know that you thought that I was silly, but I'm glad that I was silly so that I could grab your attention. And my mission is just to help one woman a day, or one woman in my life. If I can change one woman's life and she can know her worth and she can share her story boldly,
Mm-hmm.
that's all. That's all that I want to do. It's just one woman at a time. It's just help them.
I love it. And people don't realize when you are dancing and you're being, they could call it silly or whatever, that's a huge trauma release. Okay, that is getting out there, moving. I mean, I live for that. So that is exactly what you're supposed to be doing. So for all you bitter Bettys out there, who are not getting and that's okay to be a bitter Betty. It just means maybe you're in that space and there's some healing you need to do if you can't really see the point behind what it is that women who do this are doing. They're trying to connect. They're trying to bring a positive light and forget about something negative. So, wow, this is so good. So, okay, lastly but not least, I hear in the new year you have some very interesting things coming up that the ladies can be a part of. We want to send them your way. What do you have going on in 2025?
Well, 2024, my mission is 1,000 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
My mission is 1,000 episodes. So there will be 4 big events. The first one will be International Women's Day.
Okay.
That I'm almost booked out. I still have a few spots left for women to share their stories. Then there will be one about women equality. And then there's one for Mother's Day because, yes, Mother's Day is also a big thing for me because, I was 17 years old and I hated my mom. I'm not gonna lie, I hated her for not seeing what's going on. But after the years and after being on this healing journey, I know now that we are victims of victims.
Mm-hmm.
She had a traumatic experience with me at birth, and it's trauma can go on back to 8 generations back. So some of these trauma we are
Yes.
carrying is not even our own trauma. We might be carrying our grandmom's trauma. So
That's
it's
right.
just to then say, Mom, I forgive you. I know that I'm forgiving you, and I know this is not my trauma, and I'm giving it back to you for you to heal, or for my grandmother, or for my great grandmother. Um, and then the last one will be domestic violence against women. It's about I think it's in November, or it's in October. I know it's different for different countries,
Mm-hmm.
but I will, and that's domestic violence against women. So yeah, and children.
Okay. Thank you for providing all those opportunities. And how can the ladies connect with you?
At this stage, they can just go to Marika Vessels on Facebook. All my details is there. If they want to book a call with me, the link is in there. It's easier for them to just go to my profile. Soon there will be a link where all my details will be. There will be just one link, and they can connect with me. They can search hashtag Speak Up Queen, and they will just find me. Because we are making a ripple effect with hashtag Speak Up Queen.
Okay, so look for hashtag Speak Up Queen on Facebook. Are you on Instagram?
Yes, I am, and that's also Speak Up Queen, or Marika Vessels. But it is hashtag. It is Speak Up Queen, but I think there is dot minus.
Underscore.
It's either yeah, I think it's an underscore or the minus sign.
Okay, okay. We will
That
find
is one
you.
of them. But if you search hashtag Speak Up Queen, you will find me.
Hashtag Speak Up Queen. That is what we are looking for because we want our queens who are here on Women Owned Listed to definitely speak up. Well, hey, this was very, very encouraging. This was something that was needed because a lot of women, we struggle in these areas and we need safe spaces and we need more podcasts like yours where we can just, let it out and connect with someone who could be around the world but went through the same exact thing that you went through. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for inviting me. I do appreciate it, and yep.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for listening to Women Owned Listed, the podcast. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.